Are there any Polar Express passengers in need of refreshment?
Santa Claus and ho ho ho.
Where's the Tylenol? Welcome to the party, pal.
You'll shoot your eye out, kid.
Son of a nutcracker!
Papa Gijo.
From failure, we can learn.
I learned that there's a lot of Star Wars that I've forgotten.
How apropos. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Cheap Seat Critics podcast, where today we are covering the LEGO Star Wars Holiday Special. And with me today is, hello, I'm a geeky writer.
I'm Crimson Maroon.
And I'm Sprinks. And hey, if you're listening from Kashyyyk, because I can use that one, you can find us over on Facebook, X, Twitter, whatever the hell it's called, Blue Sky, Blue Ski, Instagram, at least Instagram only has one name, TikTok. You can also find us over on LetterBoxd, where we have our average out numbers of graphs and everything we do, cover, say you. We also have visual side of things over on YouTube and Rumble, where we have a slideshow of whatever it is we're covering, and PNG tubers, and more fancy looking cool stuff, especially for this holiday season. But hey, maybe not your cup of tea, totally cool, totally fine. You can find us on tons of audio platforms where you could be listening to right now.
Yeah. As always, gentlemen, we shall start with our histories. Keep your histories on live-action Star Wars relatively brief, give enough to show the depth of your knowledge, and then, but focus on your history with LEGO Star Wars in particular. And
Okay.
From that point, we shall start with you, Spriggs.
Okay, I was curious. It's like, did you want my history on Lego, on Star Wars, or on holiday specials? But okay, Star Wars. I have seen one through 9. I have seen Solo. I have seen Rogue One. I have seen the first season of Mandalorian. I have seen Obi-Wan, the TV show. I've seen very little of the Clone Wars animated show. I'm sorry. I've seen very little of Rebels. I've seen very little of Bad Batch. I think that's it. Mostly, I'm probably forgetting something. I've played Fallen. Is it the first? Is Fallen Order the first one? Jedi?
No. It's
Jedi
Fallen Order's the
Survivor?
first one, and then it's Survivor as the second one.
Okay, I've played Fallen Order. I have played very little of Jedi Survivor. That's, I guess, that. Lego Star Wars. I have Lego Star Wars sets. I could not tell you which ones I have off the top of my head. One of the very first PS2 games I ever had was Lego Star Wars 1. So it's the episodes 1 through 3. And I played that one a lot with my siblings. And then got the original trilogy, which is Lego Star Wars 2. And then by the time I had a Wii, it was Lego Star Wars The Clone Wars game. And then there was the complete saga, I think, which is 1 through 6. And then there's the newest one. Maybe that's the complete saga or Ultimate Saga or something like that, where it's like 1 through 9 and a bunch of other stuff. I played a little of that. This is LEGO Star Wars Holiday Special. However, this for today, I've only seen once, but I have known of it. And I think that's it.
Yeah, I assume then you also haven't seen the other LEGO Star Wars animation specials.
No,
So
I have not.
They got a Halloween special, and I think there's another special, but I don't remember what that one is. Crimson. Oh, no, you go next.
All right, so for the live action side of things, I've seen the prequels, the OG sequel trilogy, Han Solo, Rogue One, season 1 of Mandalorian. I've seen bits and pieces of pretty much all the other Disney Plus shows, but I have not actually watched them. I've played Lego Star Wars and the second one. I played the first one on Xbox, second one on the PS2. I played Jedi Starfighter on the original Xbox. I played Darth Vader Immortal or whatever that VR game was.
Oh, I forgot about that one.
I forgot about that one.
Yeah, I played that. I played Revenge of the Sith on the original Xbox. Great game. I have I have the Droid Fighter Lego set from 1999, back when it was called Lego System. Kind of cool. But I think that's the only Lego Star Wars I have. And I feel like I'm missing another Star Wars game out there. Oh, Force Unleashed. I played, I think, just the
Oh yeah,
first
Force
one.
Unleashed.
I might have played the second one. I don't recall. But yeah, that's probably the gist of it. Missing a couple things, and I did see the Lego Halloween special, though I recall almost nothing of it.
I'd also like
That's
to add
fair.
on to my history of games we've played together, such as Battlefield and Star Wars
Battlefront.
Oh yeah,
Battlefront,
and that
not Battlefield,
stupid
Star Wars Battlefront, uh,
Battlefront
1
and
and
2.
2 remake, essentially. I've also played the originals, and Star Wars Squadrons.
Yeah, that piece of trash. Sorry if
It's
I
definitely a
ignite a fire in the
disappointment.
audience.
No, no,
Crimson
I'm
wasn't big
willing to
on
say
the
that.
flying aspects.
Yeah, the controls are much easier, funny enough, in Star Wars Battlefront 2, I think. That one had
Oh,
some extra really
absolutely.
fun starfighter mechanics.
But Squadrons was very much like direct power to shields and thrusters and like a
Yeah,
lot more
it's a lot
hands-on.
more it's a lot more micromanaging. I think I would love Starfighter if I had a VR. I feel like that would make that game a lot more fun.
And I did do Battlefront 2's campaign, which was enjoyable.
It was neat. Uh, is that everything, Crimson?
I'm sure I'm missing something, but that is what I'll end on.
All right. That leaves me. I've seen every movie. I've seen every show, but and every season of every show except Skeleton Crew. I miss Skeleton Crew. I let's just say Disney Star Wars really, really turned me off to wanted to keep updated on the shows. So actually, no, I haven't seen Tales of the Jedi or Tales of the Empire either. Those are some of the new animated shows. I've just been really turned off
You
by
saw
a lot of the
Acolyte?
recent Disney stuff. I did.
Ooh.
What do you think turned me off to everything? I suffered through Boba Fett and went to Acolyte, and I still. Um, and then so yeah, missing Tales of Jedi, Tales of the Empire, and Skeleton Crew. Those are the main things I haven't really seen in terms of live action. I've played a lot of the games. Most of the games that have been mentioned, I've played. I played the original Battlefront and the original Battlefront 2. I love those. I still own those. I still play those when I can. Um, God, it's so fun. I have played Fallen Order. Haven't played Survivor. I played Force Unleashed 1, really loved it. Played Force Unleashed 2, really hated it. And I played Jedi Starfighter as well. That was super fun. I played the Attack of the Clones game, or the Clone Wars game, the original one, where where you're playing Mace Windu for a large portion of the game. Um, and it's a it's a fucking tank sim game, which is really weird for Star Wars. And it didn't port over really well when you were playing like characters because it was still tank controls for when you're playing a Jedi. um, and so it was very janky but very fun. I actually quite enjoyed the story of that game. It was wild, that story. Um, I played all the Lego games as well. I played the Clone Wars game based off of the show again with the Clone Wars Lego game, Lego Star Wars 3, I think that was. I haven't played the newest one, which is the complete Ultimate Saga one, because I heard it was horrible, and having seen some reviews for it and seeing gameplay of it, they've really cut corners with the game, and you can tell. So happy to have missed that one. Um, any other niche Star Wars things? Oh, yeah, I read a lot of the books. I'm that kind of nerd. I just finished rereading the Darth Plagueis novel like a week ago. Because I was really filled with holiday cheer and wanted to learn about Palpatine's rise to power.
Does it say how he somehow returned?
Not in that
No.
edition.
It's
Yeah,
the
no,
Darth
no.
Plagueis novel. It takes place. The end of the
I know,
book
it's a
takes place
prequel.
essentially in Phantom Menace.
I guess mentioning of books, I also have I think Old Republic comic that I have not read.
Yes, Republic Commando. I played that game. Thanks for reminding me. Sorry.
I have a Star Wars pin from Disneyland. I've got a Stormtrooper blaster, and I still have some old lightsabers from back in the day.
I don't even want to get into my collection. I literally have bins full of Star Wars figures and ships and things like that. I'm sure I showed them off to you guys when we used to live close together. At least I hope I did at least once.
I can recall a bit.
You
I-
showed me.
I currently
I
have
just saw
my
your Millennium Falcon.
Phase 1 Clone Trooper helmet within eyesight right now that I got from KB Toys.
Nice. Yeah, I'm in the. I want to get a 212th Phase 2 Clone Trooper helmet because that's my preferred clone battalion. Shockingly enough, there was. I just thought of played Republic Commando. There was a lot of Lucasfilm Arts games that came out back in the day that I probably have touched that I just don't remember. And I do have I have a Star Wars Engineers mug because I was did like an engineering summer program class and they did a Star Wars thing at the end where they had to design like droids, and I ended up getting an engineering mug out of that. That was cool.
I have a gift Ryder gave me of a Millennium Falcon coaster.
Yay!
I just remembered.
Yeah,
I've also
so-
been to the Black Spire outpost on Batuu in quote unquote Disneyland.
Yeah, it's quote unquote Disneyland in Star Wars Land. Batuu is it's really weird because I know Batuu from the books, so it's really weird to walk around Batuu and see the First Order stuff when my familiarity with it is like in the Empire, just during the Empire era and the Clone Wars era.
Yeah, things have changed.
And
and
it's just
funny enough for my history, when I went, it was during the Life Day celebration.
how fitting is that? That's cool. I didn't know they did a Life Day celebration. That's cool.
They do.
It makes me happy. And I have not seen any. I haven't. This is my first time watching this holiday special for the Lego one. I've seen the original holiday special, and I haven't seen any of the other Lego movie shorts as well. They're the little mini movies that they've done for like Halloween and other and summer vacation.
Yeah. I guess I didn't really mention that in my history. First time I saw this one for the podcast. Also, another Lego set I forgot I had was the Coruscant Guard gunship set. That's it.
Ooh.
Yes. Oh yeah, I used to have a bunch of Star Wars Legos, and then all of them were stolen. So I actually have nothing right now. Not to worry. I plan to get at least the U-wing Andor set this Christmas for myself because I actually really like Andor. Shockingly enough, I'm sure I've said enough to my
We've
co-hosts
given
to
a
annoy
lot.
them with that.
We've all given a lot of Star Wars history.
Yeah. So
Lucky
much for keeping
cat.
it short, huh, fellas? All right. And with that, we can jump into facts about this movie. If y'all are ready for that.
Think so, I'm ready.
Yeah. This movie was released in November 17th, 2020, on Disney Plus. There's no budget available for this one. It was directed by Ken Cunningham. I'm not familiar with their work, but I recognize the name, but I'm just not familiar with their work if they've done anything else. This little animated movie was nominated for 3 awards, for Best Art Direction in an Animation Program, and Best Animation Program. So all these for 2021, and it won none of them, thankfully. Spoiler alert.
I don't even know how it got
Uh,
nominated. There must have
Interesting.
been nothing out that year.
yeah. Uh, and I guess with that, I'll move into the more fun facts. This premiered on November 17th. Where the original Star Wars Holiday Special was also broadcast on November 17th, 42 years earlier. So keeping it in line, which is nice. Thumbs up. The word tip-yip first appeared in Ben Burtt's 2011 book Star Wars: The Galactic Phrasebook and Travel Guide as the Ewokies translation for fowl, for domesticated hen or rooster. Um, as of 2019, such dishes are as fried Endorian tip-yip are served at Galaxy's Edge, which is the Batu,
Black Spire Outpost. Yeah.
the Black Spire.
I was very
Outpost,
close to
Batu,
getting some
yeah.
tip-yip, but I got a Ronto wrap instead.
Yeah, I got a Tatooine Sunset last time I was there. It was good stuff.
I got a rock.
Yeah, Crimson hasn't been. Not yet, anyhow.
Yeah. And I think Tip Yip is. No. I was thinking like I think that I was just confusing my facts in my brain, so we can ignore what I was going to say there. When the original Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, premiered on Disney Plus, viewers noticed a new snippet of dialogue that had been added to the cantina scene. Greedo utters the word McClunkey just before being shot. So when a Rhodian guest arrives on the Falcon in the special, he says the same word.
McClanky.
Yes. Definitely noticed.
Yeah. When Rey presents the Jedi text to the group, the name Sidious is plastered across the top of the page of the Arabesh.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Arabesh is the Star Wars text script that we always see. I think that's all I need to go over, unless anyone's got any other facts they would like to add in.
I do have one.
All right.
Upon finishing this film, saw that it was written by a Mr. David Shane. So I was curious, what other things has David Shane written or wrote for? Because I got real curious. So David Shane has been the screenplay writer or writer for other Lego Star Wars films and properties. So that just made me go, okay, the rest of them are all through this guy.
What a
Ken Cunningham.
so it's
I looked him up.
it's all right.
Yeah, just a bunch of Lego stuff.
Predominantly Legos for both of them. All right.
David Shane some
Nothing.
other things, but the Lego is what really stuck out.
Okay. So I guess they're it's a part of. I guess this is what we can expect then from other Lego properties if we ever cover them, outside of the movies, of course. Because the Lego movie I think is a step up, shall we say?
And some might say it's awesome.
Yeah, like everything else. And I guess with that, we can dive into our coverage. The coverage is just going to be free for all. It's just,
Popcorn. Free for all.
popcorn. Yeah, thank you. I forgot the name there for a second. Yeah, I've had too much tip yip today. So, and with that, we shall start with Crimson.
Sweet. So I noticed that this brought up a lot of like community references or jokes, things that the community has latched on to. There's something I think they avoided that they totally could have made fun of or acknowledged, and that is Rey's last name. They don't touch that. I was a little disappointed.
I wonder why.
I also fall on a little disappointment why it wasn't touched on when this whole thing was about family and friends. And that's her family. And she even got to see, like, in the prime, her family. So
Yeah,
I agree.
so
I was a little disappointed in that as well.
bit lacking in that department.
Just a little.
But hey, what can be expected from a little
But
Lego
hey,
special?
we got the Luke and Leia Force Ghosts at the end, so her family was there, right?
I guess so.
Yeah. That's totally what happened.
Audience, you can't pick
Who's
it up. I
Palpatine
think
at?
all three of us are very big on it's Rey Palpatine.
That's my stance.
That's still my stance.
Found family
I
and
don't
adoption
like,
is fine.
I'm not a fan
But-
of dead naming people. However, I will make an exception for Rey Palpatine.
Rey Palpatine.
Good old Rey Creamy Sheev Palps. All right, I'll go next. It took a subjective hit pretty much immediately when I found out Rey's This is supposed to take place. Actually, that's probably a big overarching question. So this is gonna. I had an idea, but now I'm soundtracked into the big overarching question. How should we treat this? Is this like in its own
Great
separate
starting question.
universe?
Thank God.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I, upon completing this, see it as the explanation the Ancient One gives Hulk in Endgame of like you got your timeline and then you make one thing and you get that black timeline variant. I feel like the holiday special here is that black line. So it is basing
The
off
black
of
timeline variant.
Yes, it is basing off the normal timeline to go until the start. So it's then a different timeline kind of thing, uncanonizing itself.
It's
Which
like the Halo show where they called it the Silver Timeline.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm kind of in the same boat. I treat this as it's a timeline with a bunch of similar events that happened, but it's its own thing.
I think everything
it had
prior to what's being shown from the beginning is canon, kind of thing. The start of this goes on its own.
The problem with that, Sprinks, is the scene with Obi-Wan. He says something that's not in the film that he's in.
That I clarify under Lego humor.
And which is where I see the point where I think this is canon in Lego and not in Star Wars.
Yeah, I'm treating the way I have to treat this, because let's be honest, for me, it would be subjectively and objectively a lot worse if I was treating them in the same universe. So I treat this as the same as the Lego timeline. Though I find it weird that they're able to speak, referencing the complete saga in the Phantom Menace. It would be funny if they couldn't talk.
No, that would be just classic Lego. Unable to talk. With Crimson's pitch, I'm now a bit peeved if that's so, because then that would state that this isn't the beginning of said Lego universe.
Well, she's going back in time, so that would establish their stuff before the events of this film.
No, I don't necessarily mean timeline order of in world or in universe. I mean franchise order.
I don't mean every Lego movie is connected to itself. Like, I don't think the Halloween special is connected to this. That's not what I meant by that.
Thank you. That's what I was thinking this was. That the Legos are their own individual stories.
Yeah, I think each of these specials are their own thing, own universe, their own what if.
Okay. And Ryder, what do you think about that?
That probably would work better. Then again, I haven't seen the Halloween special or the summer special because I don't know if those would quote unquote fit within the canon of like this holiday special. They might, and if they did, I'd be fine throwing them all together. But it very much comes across as like this is its own At least for the Lego Star Wars stuff, this might be its own universe for that.
Well,
Okay.
having seen the Halloween one, granted, like I said, I don't recall too much about it. I don't think it references this, or this certainly doesn't reference that. So that's why I'm seeing it more as detached.
Okay. Then I am more calm now towards it. Because there is still some instance, some small little smidge, if it's bigger possibly, that this is a Sly Fox writer pick.
I don't have one. My motive for picking this one is I just wanted to like a dumb fun romp for us to go through. I didn't really get that personally, so
I saw it as this is your way of getting something in Star Wars for us not needing to start at the beginning to go in order of a franchise. But then I got scared thinking this wasn't the beginning of the Lego Star Wars franchise and that it was picked randomly in the middle. But now it seems we're all in the same boat that they aren't connected in their own what if kind of episodic tales.
yeah. I
feel
didn't
like the Barbie movies.
I wouldn't know. I didn't know the others existed until I literally looked this up to watch it.
Barbie movies
So-
is a good example.
Yeah, that's kind of how I'm viewing it. Of course,
Obviously.
some of the Barbie movies are connected, but as a whole, they are not all connected.
Yes.
And I don't have to worry about getting something picked for Star Wars Springs. We picked for Obi-Wan. I'm good.
Yes, but that was what was that, season 2?
Oh yeah, I saw that in my history.
Season 1, I think.
That was
actually.
season 1? Okay, that's back when we were still
Season 1 or
getting
season
our
2.
identity.
Yeah, it was season 1 or 2, so very, very young. But like I said, I don't need to pick something from the Star Wars franchise. I'm good. What I would, if I were to pick anything like legitimately from the Star Wars franchise, I'd probably pick something short like Tales of the Jedi or Tales from the Empire, and then I could just explain the context of everything to you guys. But
Okay.
yeah, this is not an intentional Sly Fox writer pick. If all it is in the same universe as all the other Lego stuff, and even if it, like I said, even if it is, I don't have an issue because it seems disconnected enough. It's very self-contained story.
Yes, and that's where I lie with it as well. It's just I didn't make the pick for this, and I didn't want to spoil on research or anything, so I just trusted you knew what you were going with. But if it was like some kind of weaselly little thing to get in there of like, oh, this is the third in this franchise, but it's story kind of thing.
Don't worry, Sprix. I already got my next music video lined up. We'll get there when we get there.
Great, thank you, great.
Is it the Lemonade album for Beyonce?
What a random pick to go with.
Oh, it's because all the songs in there are part of a story.
Don't worry. I know you're a huge fan of Post Malone, so
Oh, don't scare me.
Yeah, we saw Post Malone
Springs.
last week.
Yep. All right, Sprinks, you got a point you want to jump to.
Oh boy. Shoot. Should I go small or overarching? Because overarching is going to be taken by someone else, so I'll go small. I think being this is my first Lego Star Wars like film or like movie watch, I was kind of impressed and cool that the opening like Star Wars logo that has like the lights or like the cop lights, I don't know how to describe it, going over all the faces of characters was all Legofied. I thought that was a really cool detail.
Yeah, Disney Star Wars has this thing where they open all their projects with the like going over the helmets of characters, the faces of, or like the shapes of like droids and stuff like that.
Yeah, but
And
for
they
all
Legofied everyone, so
so its own customized look to it, where they didn't have to.
I'll never forgive them for putting a sink in that logo setup though.
Sync.
Yeah, I think it's
A battery droid?
the Boba Fett. I think it might be the Boba Fett show. They legitimately put a sink in the logo.
That's weird.
Yeah, it's not a good show. So
Well,
yeah, I also agree. I do like the Lego get up as well.
Yeah.
Crimson.
Sure. So this is more of a subjective hit to me, and that's that the Lego minifigures don't feel like Lego minifigures. They don't have the holes at the back of their legs or under their feet. They're just solid rectangles. So I don't know. It seems like a lazy detail to not put in there.
Yeah, considering that this is the
Hmm.
brand, I tend to agree. Granted, they're obviously not like sitting down or walking on studs or anything like that. I am. It's still a detail I think I would have preferred to have.
Yeah, it was just a little disappointing because the Lego movie, the big budget one, does they are actual minifigures. Well, not literally. It is animated, but you get the sentiment
Yeah,
I'm saying.
good catch.
Uh,
Hmm.
I will
Did
jump
it get
to
past you, Springs? It
It
sounded
did.
like it might have. Yeah.
It totally did. Well, I did realize there was not studs everywhere for them to walk on, but yeah, the back of the legs, I missed it.
it's just a weird little niche. It's a weird design choice, considering, you know,
Well, I
since
think the
this is
main reason is because these legs, the way they're rigged, they are like flowing. They're not like straight lines like actual
Yeah,
Legos.
they're
they didn't
not.
So if there was
C3PO
circles,
everyone.
yeah,
Yeah,
if
it's not a mix of because in like the Lego movie, right? They go through the effort to make it look like a real Lego walking on studs, you know?
yeah, this one they don't do that. And if there was circles behind their legs, it would just squish in and out and it would look bad. So I'm sure that is
Yeah,
why they did it. But as an end product, it is not a real minifigure to me.
fair enough. Uh, One of the first things that really annoyed me, well, outside of uh, a lot of this, I was annoyed that Ray's X-wings didn't have like sensors to detect a mountain through a cloud cover. I feel like
Yeah,
that's a general enough. I feel like that's a general enough issue that that's not really an excuse for being in the Star Wars brand, because
Hmm.
even though it is a Lego movie.
Okay, yes, I feel like this is where we should bring up. I don't know how we classify it, maybe just a 1 through 10 kind of thing. How excusable do you have Lego humor?
it really depends on what's good they're doing. I don't think this is as crazy as like the games where like someone pulls out a banana. So I don't think they're going full Lego comedy in this film. But the so for me it would be a case by case thing where some things may be more excusable than others. I know that's not a great answer because you want a 1 through 10 scale, but
I
I
was
do
just
kind of
curious.
view it as a
Like,
case by case.
I do think this has stuff that's totally like passable because it's Lego, and some things that are too far.
Yes, I agree.
But I'm just curious. I don't necessarily think we all agree on what that is to ourselves, or like to ourselves we get it, but it's like we don't all see it the same.
Probably
Yeah,
not. That would be
probably not.
moving.
Though that being said, I do tend to agree with both of you. I think there's a lot of the Lego humor here is fine, but I think a lot of it goes a little too. But there's also parts where it goes too far. So I'm in agreement that the Lego humor can go too far. And with the stuff like the pulling a banana out, I remember that more in the classic Lego stuff where, when characters didn't talk or anything like that.
When Yeah, to me, Lego games had like three eras. You had the not talking at all, so everything's just mimicry and movement. Then you had the middle area, which is I think my favorite, where it's just lines dubbed exact or taken from whatever they're being from, like straight from the movie, straight from the show, whatever. And then you have the other area where it's actually voice acting and voiceover of uh original
Everything.
story kind of thing.
Yeah.
And with those three forms of dialogue options, it does change the humor expressed.
Yeah.
I'm I kind of fell out halfway through the taking lines directly from the source era. Not that it was bad, it's just I think I was still too fondly attached to the classic era because they had to get very creative when their characters were mute, and they also were limited like in animation, so they had to get very creative how they were going to express their mimicry and
Yes.
tell the visual aspects of that story. So I grew very attached to that sense of humor.
I think the first Lego Indiana
And
Jones
then
does it very well.
Yeah.
With like the grunts, and I mean that's where you get the classic Yoda death noise. It's the silent ones.
Yeah.
Ah!
R2 scream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then for the lines taken era, I really enjoyed it. Like I said, my favorite game I think was the first one for that era, which is Lord of the Rings, and I'm
great.
very very fond.
Great game.
Yeah, fucking love that one because that one actually took a lot of the classic humor with it. And then they also were able to take they still kept a lot of the lines, but as that era went on, it started losing a lot of the classic humor that I really enjoyed, which is kind of why I fell out of it. Not that they were bad per se, it's just I really enjoyed the start of that era because they still kept a lot of the classic mimicry, the classic like grunts and little jokes and gaffs that came with the origin the classic era.
Yeah. Well, since we're talking about it, preferred era, I guess. Springs.
Oh, mine of those three is the I like the direct voice from source to game to be incorporated in game.
All right. I like classic silent. Ryder.
It's funny. My answer is I like the back end of the classic era and the front end of the the dub era or the stealing lines era.
No.
I think that's
you gotta pick.
I don't know.
You can
I don't
pick
have
the
to. I'm
full
host.
original voice lines is the bottom pick.
Yeah, that one's the bottom pick. Probably the classic era then, just based off nostalgia. Though I think objectively, I think for me, objectively, subjectively, I think I still love both. I have a lot of love for both, so I think I enjoyed the classic era more slightly.
Like I'm thinking like in Lego Harry Potter, just the like shrugs and little grunts of Harry, Ron, and Hermione trying to like express things in the game is funny at times, and Ron being a doofus like pulling out something that's not going to work. But then going to like Battle of Helm's Deep and Lord of the Rings, where Legolas actually pulls out a box for Gimli to step on, I find that much funnier.
Yeah. And because it works too, because like I said, it's one of the reasons why the Lord of the Rings one works so well, because they kept a lot of those classic goofs and gags, but still had a lot of the film lines, which is why I really loved the start of that era. Alas.
Yeah. I forget if Lego
back
Harry
to
Potter 2 had
your
voice, but-
original question, Springs, which is how do we feel about the humor in this?
Yes, how far do you
as far as
excuse
Lego humor?
the Lego humor? Because if you're not
Um,
excusing any of it, then I can guess your score, because it's prominent throughout this whole thing.
Yeah, I think the line got crossed for me when it starts like introducing like rules of absurdity. I think that interactions like once the time travel starts, I think that's kind of where the humor starts crossing a line for me. There's because I think there's humor in here. The humor in here that works is this. Funny enough, I think I like the humor. The humor I like the most is the stuff that's on the Falcon, which is the side story. Poe burning the fucking like tip yips.
Oh, so all the original
Like,
stuff.
I think. Yeah, I think I enjoyed the original stuff the most. I think that one works the best because the rest of the humor relies on undercutting something that's beloved or undercutting something that's um that humor relies on other things to operate. And I do think that's where it starts crossing the line in certain places. So that would be I guess my take on the humor for this film.
Okay. I have my excusability meter probably up to a 7 out of 10, being that it is Lego, and going with the objects in world humor as well as the voice line humor, to balance one another or use both. I think they do use both a lot, so I just understand like that's Lego, that's going into this kind of knew that, and it does start off the beginning with that, with the stormtroopers just floating around in space, of being, or the first order troopers being hit or whatever. I'm like, okay, I see where this is going. But there are some things that are push it too far.
We can probably get into where that line's pushed because obviously we can go anywhere. It's popcorn, but
Yeah, I'll say what's pushed too far for me is Palpatine.
yeah, I would agree with that. I think he's. It's weird because everyone's in character, and I'm putting this in quotes, but they exaggerate like Palpatine the most, and I think that's where a lot of the issues come in for him.
What is your particular issue with Palpatine's breaks?
I think he's too much. I think he's too emphasized, I suppose. They don't really do it to Darth Vader. They don't really do it to Kylo, or like, just expressing other villains. But Palpatine, I know he's like the big bad, but still I feel like it's a lot. And Rey's the big protagonist of this, but I don't see that with Rey. Like, they're not overdoing Rey as they're overdoing Palpatine, unless they're trying to make like the big bad scary guy more goofy to the younger audience. So it's like, oh, something to laugh at. He's just a silly guy. But I feel like every single scene he's a part of, he's doing that, and it's too over the top.
That's how I feel about Hux in The Last Jedi, because Ryan turned with a serious character into an absurd comedic fans. Yeah. Oh yeah, obligatory. Ryan Johnson hasn't made a good film. I'm still waiting. Yada yada.
By the time this comes out, maybe a new one. Who knows?
I guess my piece on that, when it comes to Lego exaggerating characters, because they do that with the games, the movies, anything they really touch, they exaggerate stuff on. And I don't think they hit that for me with Palpatine. So I guess that's our establishment of scales thing, because I don't think they went too far with them.
I guess
but that's only on Palpatine for you.
I mean, I think he is the most exaggerated out of everybody in this cast. Maybe Poe. Actually, I'd say Poe.
I'd say Poe and Palpatine are the most different from their quote-unquote canonical counterparts.
Yeah, I didn't really see much of Poe in Poe here, to be fair. I think he would actually be the worst example out of this. But even then, I find that passable. But I think he's the worst example of that.
Okay.
All right. Well, Crimson, I think you're up next for a point.
Sure thing. I found animation error.
Uh-oh.
I know. I'm posting in the Discord. AK will hopefully make its way onto socials. It was on Rey's legs. There was some weird artifacting happening with the lighting hitting her asset. Well, that was kind of a play on words. That was unintentional.
Okay, Crimson.
That's funny.
Well done.
Yeah,
I approve.
Just an animation error. So
okay, yeah, I can see where it turns glossy.
Oh, you get like a sharp line that cuts through the leg,
Yeah.
not properly. And that's at timestamp 259, for those wondering.
But this is one of those lore things for me. I would just like to remind everybody that in A New Hope, where Obi-Wan is making Luke like fight the teaching him how to block a blaster bolt essentially with the lightsaber
Yeah.
with the little drone. That was done as like with what Ben Kenobi had lying around. It's been turned into like one of the hearts of Jedi training. So it's really in a funny way. It's really weird to see Rey still continuing that. It's a goof, I think, with when it comes to Jedi lore that's been turned into like really really blown out of proportion. I guess that particular style of training.
I suppose so. I guess that's more of a diehard Star Wars thing.
Yeah,
It's
maybe.
more of
Because I always viewed it as just a training thing.
Yeah, it's
But-
it's a diehard Star Wars thing.
But you do touch on something I really enjoy is Rey actually training Finn.
I mean, I'll throw it out there. I think this is my favorite iteration of Rey. She
Um,
actually has character here. She's trying. She's failing.
Yeah, no,
not
I agree.
acceptable to
I
me
didn't
entirely.
see the Mary Sue for a solid 5 minutes, and it was nice.
Yeah, 5 minutes. Yeah, because it certainly happens. My gosh.
But yeah, no, I think I'm in agreement. I think this might be my favorite scene with Rey is she's trying to teach. She's trying to be a good teacher and doesn't know how to be a good teacher yet.
Yeah.
And that will actually take me to one of my points. I actually quite like the message with this one, but like the take-home message is that like all the masters and apprentices had friendships at their core as well. So I do like that aspect being the lesson that she's learning is that to cherish the friendship on top of being a teacher.
Yeah, I think it's a good lesson. Springs, I thought you were gonna jump in there for a moment.
A little just I like the attention to detail of the practice with Finn of the droid being cut in half, of having the Lego click sound when Rey put it together. So it's actually Lego clicked that it's fixed, because without that detail I wouldn't like it, because you can't just put two halves of something together and it's healed. Unless they're doing the thing again where the Force has another random power just being thrown in.
That was one
Yeah.
of my complaints, is that it just gets fixed like that. If they actually made it look like two Lego pieces,
Oh, that's a
like
complaint?
a stud and a stud piece. No, the sound is good. It's that they're not Lego pieces. I think if they made it Lego pieces, I would be okay with it. But right now, it's not a Lego piece. So the fact that she just puts two pieces together and it works now, I'm not for.
Oh.
Yeah, I like the audio for it. I'm more on Crimson's side that I wish it was an actual Lego piece because then I'd buy it more. I'd just go thumbs up, cool. I'm watching a Lego movie, you know.
Make it better. I agree. I guess I lean of like the 6 out of 10 passable, and you guys lean the, I don't know, 4 out of 10 not good.
Yeah, this is one of the examples that I don't think it works. I think Luke fixing BB-8 is better because you actually see him putting Lego pieces together to fix them.
Yes, I did really appreciate the Luke rebuilding BB-8 scene. Just because that again, cool little that's utilizing the genre or the particular style of animation that you're in. Sprinks got a point.
Of course I do. A small little detail that I also like is when Rey gets into the X-Wing to leave, the helmet that she puts over her does not just make her hair disappear. Her hair is actually animated to shrink into the helmet.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Cool animation. Still hate it. The helmet because it's obviously she's wearing Luke's helmet and flying Luke's X-wing still. So I still, it's a, for me, that's a subjective hit that I take from the last, not the Last Jedi, but the Rise of Skywalker.
Anything Ray
Carries some
touches is
baggage.
poison, huh?
What'd you say?
Everything that Ray touches is poison, huh?
It's more of a, well, to quote Harry Potter, how dare you stand where he stood? You know,
Yeah.
it's one of those things like it's easier, I guess, for me subjectively to disassociate because they're in Lego form, but it's that X-wing got destroyed, lost with the helmet too, at least in Episode 9. So in this universe, I guess it's not, but it's still, it bugs me a little bit that that's what she's using to get around in the galaxy. I think she would have her own starfighter at this point.
Most likely.
Well, when you have to choose between Luke's X-Wing or Han's Millennium Falcon, you kind of don't get an original pick.
Ray doesn't get her own ship. She's
Ray's not cool. Ray's cool. Ray's not cool enough to get her own ship. She only takes names, and she takes ships. She takes helmets. She takes everything.
She takes lightsabers. She's she really doesn't have anything original, does she?
I mean, it's the first time in the
her
movies a
lightsaber's
yellow. Yeah, yellow
Uh-huh.
lightsaber. It's not the first time there's been a yellow lightsaber, but on screen.
It's the first time in the movies that there's a yellow lightsaber. So again, took it from Star Wars Legends. So I guess technically she did. It's not original to her either. But
She's the first character named Rey. I don't know. I'm grasping. There's
She
grasping
didn't
for
steal
stars.
that name.
yeah.
A detail that back and forth evens each other out. When Rey is kind of looking at the Jedi Temple and flying over it, the detail of the glass on the X-Wing to blur and give effect to the actual texture of the glass to her face, I thought was really well done. And that's something that they could have just made it completely clear, so it's just transparent to her. But they actually went into the detail of that to make it look like more hardened glass, and I think that was really cool. But following exactly after that is showing that mountain, and I think that mountain is the worst piece of animation. It looks like something from the early Barbie movies.
I don't have too much of an issue with the mountain looks like, because I feel like that's with a lot of Lego things, is the non-Lego stuff typically don't look great. But my larger issue with it was the line that came right before it of Yoda talking about how it's going to be hard to find the temple. Boom, she immediately finds the temple, and I wrote in my notes, Mary Sue
It's just
Ray.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's holding up the dagger exactly where you need to be standing to hold up the dagger. That's right.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I think that was a horrible idea putting that line there. If they just had she had a general area, but all she had was a planet. It was a temple on a
And
planet.
mind you, I guess her scanners can't get through cloud cover, and she's in a spaceship. There's a lot of issues with just that scene alone, just that don't really correlate well, even in a Lego Star Wars movie. But I do agree. I do like the visual Sprinks. I do think the animation is okay for a large part of this film. I find it funny in quotes, but it's obviously problematic. How everyone, there's a huge battle that erupts on Tatooine, because everyone got pulled through various portals, and everyone just decides to fight anyway.
Yeah. All your nemesis are there.
Yeah. But I guess my issue with this is that there's definitely people who wouldn't know what's going on, because they dragged in a somewhat normal characters through that portal.
Yeah. How is Darth Maul alive?
He's Lego.
Do you think that's Lego humor going too far?
Well, he did survive technically.
Yes, but he's cut in half here. This isn't Spider Leg Darth Maul.
This is definitely
he gets cut in. I assure you, he gets cut in half in the Clone Wars, and he just reappears with spider legs. We have no idea how he got from. I don't know how he shits. Just
Well, that's what I'm getting at.
Of
Like,
course.
not to the point where he's healed to a point. Like, this is still cut in half version.
yeah.
I mean, they're Lego
That
pieces. They don't have organs. They're
Okay,
not
got it.
beings.
You're helping
They're
me
Lego.
clear your number or understand it better.
I mean, in this example, my next point was actually going to be something that I thought was a negative for the Lego comedy. But
well
for
then shoot.
half Darth Maul fighting, makes sense with Lego logic to me.
Yeah, I'm fine with that because it is fitting for Legos in quotes, because you can pull a Lego in half and obviously if it's not broken. You can just do something else with the figure.
Yes. So, actually, I thought of another one. I'll go with the smaller one first. The moment Darth Vader like snaps the neck of one of the like snow troopers on Hoth, you get the sound effect of him like breaking his neck, but then the guy doesn't die. That is not something I take well with the comedy. They added the neck break sound, the animation, and the guy plops, and then you see him like start to get up.
Okay.
You seem to
Yeah,
disagree?
it's an interesting one because I'm thinking about it in my head, and yeah, it's not really that one's not consistent, I guess, with the rest of the humor, since the audio doesn't really correlate to the
Like I
Lego
think
humor, I
it would have
guess.
been better if, because maybe popping off the head would be a bit too much, but if they twisted his head all the way around and then he just grabbed his own head and spun it back around, I think that would be in line with Lego comedy. But the animation of his neck snapping with the sound and then he just gets up doesn't really add up to me, even with the Lego angle. But
All
if it
right.
springs,
I think it's fine. It's not phenomenal. It's not fantastic, but I think it's passable and fine.
Very fair, I suppose. Uh, one of the, I guess one of the big internal inconsistencies with this one I had is the time portals when they're opened and closed. Because sometimes they're open forever, and then other times they change in size
That's a big
as
hit.
well. There's no consistency with
sometimes
the
being like 2 times where it's very important.
Yep, that's just a
yeah
big hit.
yeah.
Unless
That was a very
you want to just go with the thing that Rey knows how to do it, just because it's Rey.
I mean, she accidentally flails her arm around like Doctor Strange, but and no, she does get it immediately.
Yeah.
So I'm not.
yeah,
Gonna
she
push
gets it
back on
immediately.
that.
That tracks. She can learn abilities immediately. It's just
My
she
notes
learns Sith
do.
lightning at random. So
Yeah, upon the first like spark of it, my notes say, "What sanctum sorcery is this? Celine Rain rock."
Yeah, it's the same motion pretty much that she did.
yep, I agree with that.
And up,
Um,
up to 9 minutes and 30 seconds of this, I was pretty fine. My like subjective was the same. Like from the beginning to then, I was like pretty decent. At the 9:30 mark, when fortunately I don't know the Dagobah creature's name that grabs BB-8, but upon it grabbing BB-8, showing physical presence in time travel, is when my subjective score started moving.
You're
yeah,
touching on the point I was gonna go on. Right, you're about to say something.
no, that's just, go ahead.
Yeah, I was getting annoyed when she was on the elevator over Obi-Wan and Anakin, and up to that point, I'm like, okay, so Yoda couldn't sense like the strongest Force user ever to exist a couple feet away from him, and then it like tried grabbing her and stuff. I'm like, okay, so she's there. It's not a projection. And then you have Obi-Wan and Anakin acknowledge her. I'm like, well, this is stupid. This is horrible. And then they
Yeah.
go off the rails.
Yeah,
of
as
course,
soon as they
past
acknowledge
that.
her, I went, oh shit. Oh boy, okay. So she can change the timeline. Interesting. And then when Darth
Yeah.
Vader saw Darth Vader and they contacted each other, like attacking, I went, this is a break in the space-time continuum. This is time travel 101 big no-no.
Big no.
Yeah, I'm like, this is atrocious.
Yeah. Star Wars time travel in the canon universe sucks terribly because Dave Filoni doesn't know how to fucking write. So here it's just even worse. It's just fucking worse.
There was a time in this where I thought this was going to explain how Palpatine came back. I thought he was going to time travel to the future.
That would've
and
been
that's
something.
how we started everything. I thought that's what they were going to do.
Honestly, I would have found that to be funny if when it would cut to Poe saying, "And that's how Palpatine returned." Close his book over the fire. That I would have laughed. That would have killed me. I would have. That would have been super fucking funny, leading into probably one of the most popular memes of that movie. But
No, and as crazy it is for me to say, because I would rarely imagine I would apply this to a lot of Lego stuff. I think it damages Yoda and Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan because they didn't sense Rey next to the rock or under the table. I don't get it.
Oh, it's a new force power. She can mask herself.
She can mask her force.
yeah.
Oh no!
I mean, so there is that ability that exists in the canon timeline. One of the reasons the Sith went undetected for 1,000 years since Bane is that the Sith learned to mask their presence. And obviously, having said this at the beginning of the podcast, they're just
Cad Bane's not in this.
I'm saying Darth Bane. My dude.
Oh, Darth Bane. Sorry, two Banes.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, because Darth Bane instituted the rule too. I'm not going to go into heavy lore, but as I said, with Darth Plagueis novel, like Plagueis and Palpatine operate quite a lot with Master Jedi around them because they learned how to mask their force powers, and it's one of the intrigues of the book because Plagueis is trying to probe what the Jedi are thinking without necessarily giving away that he has the Force. And so there is an element of that established where the Jedi can mask their presence and stuff like that, and the Sith can mask their presence. The problem is, I don't know how Rey even got that ability if that's the case, because it's just randomized. It's inconsistent in any case. Even if she could mask her, but her Force ability, it doesn't work because people can detect her sometimes, and other times they can't.
And if she learned it from the Jedi text, I feel like they would need to set that up or establish that's something she learned. Not just us assuming, oh, they didn't notice her, she must have this ability.
Yeah.
So I have problems with it.
There's a lot of problems with the time travel sequence. We've got the portal being inconsistent. We have her reaction in the physical realm being inconsistent. It's yeah.
Well, okay. What kind of time travel do you think we're dealing with? Springs, you first.
What kind of time travel?
Yeah, I mean we've talked about this on the podcast before that there's different.
Yes,
kinds
there
of time
is.
travel. So, what do you think they're attempting to abide by?
This time travel is It's tough because they don't show fully rewritten history or revised history. Like,
I would
both
disagree with that in one case.
Give me an example.
Well, Darth Vader throws the Emperor over with a fucking, Christmas sweater on.
Yes, but still the events of that still occurred. Like, the fate course of destiny still aligned to Darth Vader being the one to throw him over. So that's not changed.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm going with the approach. A good example of this is the second Alice in Wonderland movie, Through the Looking Glass, where they try to explain, like, oh, if I stop this in the past, it'll never happen, but history rewrote it, so it still happened just differently. So it's still, like, got to the future events. It's just like the starting point is slightly altered. And I can't tell from this if this is like things in the past can be changed and altered for the future course as long as things go on, or if just because this happened, like the big one for me was Pod Racing Annie went all the way to episode 4 Tatooine during that whole fight, and then got sent back, I'm assuming with all the portals at the end, got sent back to the pod race. So Annie was the fine. But if Annie got shot and killed in that battle, then that would that spiral a whole thing of like not being Darth Vader, so would all the Darth Vaders vanish? Would Luke vanish because he wasn't born? What, like, that doesn't come across. And even still being sent back to the pod race, and he still goes on his whole normal storyline canonized of becoming Darth Vader and whatnot. So I didn't see an example where it really definitely puts it one way or the other.
I think it would have to be there. Every time she opens a portal, she's visiting a different timeline. And the reason for that is because wouldn't young Luke recognize her in the throne room when he's there as like Jedi Luke?
That falls onto just human memory. And if you've encountered one person for one day of your life years ago, it could be unforgiven. And it's like maybe they look familiar, but
I don't know. This is a pretty crazy day.
it is.
Hard to
So,
forget.
and there's multiple versions of each character if they are on the same timeline. So it's like these different time periods of Luke are all encountering kind of the same experience of Rey's present day at the same time. So that's multiple memories.
I think I would agree with that if this was a younger version of Luke. The problem is that this Luke is like a New Hope Luke. Like before, like this is the Luke that went out to admire the sunset.
In the example you have with the one falling, yes. But when she's at the end and Darth Vader brings Luke from the 6th film in, he would have the memories of the blue milk drinking one, the Rey appearing when he blows up the Death Star one, maybe on Hoth. No, Rey was in the bunker.
Yeah.
He didn't see that, but
yeah, that's why I'm leaning that this is every time the portal opens, it has to be a different timeline, because Luke would have encountered Rey multiple times at random instances during his life.
Yeah, this is. I took this as MCU time travel, where they're alternate realities, different worlds, because I think the biggest issue here is the people would remember all these events, and that in of itself would change history. I feel like Darth Vader would then go after the key. Going forward, we don't see him die in this. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. All the other people that fought on Tatooine, they'd all remember what happened, and I feel like that would all change history if we had the change history aspect. I mean, there's characters that met characters they never did before, or they met them earlier than they would have. Like you had, well, no, that would have lined up, but you had young Anakin with older Anakin, right? During the battle.
Yeah, younger Anakin was with Obi-Wan from Attack of the Clones. They were pulled in to the ones that were dueling, that were also present there as well.
Yeah, and you had pod racing Anakin. You had, I feel like these would all have to be separate universes, not one timeline.
It does help with the space-time continuum of same matter beings within a vicinity of one another.
If you want to break it down, yeah. Because it's not the same Vader fighting Vader; it's a different Vader fighting Vader.
Yes, but it kind of goes a little bit into the grandfather effect.
And by that you mean?
Like going back in time, killing your grandfather. How is that feasible if killing your grandfather, you wouldn't be born, but you're still the one killing him?
Well, that wouldn't be applied if this is.
That's fixed by different timelines. You'd end one universe's version of your grandfather, but you would be fine and go back to your universe.
Yeah.
So that's the time travel I'm applying. I'm doing MCU time travel for this. I think that's the best way for this to work.
I think it's the only way for this to work, honestly. Because if it's all the same universe, then it's bad. It's even worse writing the fact that they don't acknowledge it. You know.
The benefit of the doubt is to go with the timeline. Yeah. The different timelines.
Yeah.
And I guess to its benefit, it doesn't establish rules of the time travel here, so we can, I guess, apply a rule. But do you guys think it's bad for not applying a rule?
What do you mean applying a rule? Like applying that we all set?
Like this is a set. Like
There's no in-game explanation.
If the movie said this is a single timeline, but then it does all this, that's a huge issue.
Yeah.
But because it's ambiguous, we can apply the MCU time travel. So that's what I mean by that.
I say you can take it in however you want to take it in.
That is the benefit of it. They're being vague. There's no hard rules on it.
Yeah, it's for the individual to decide.
Right, since we're going with that angle, I guess we should each say how we're looking at it. Sprinks, what are you looking at it as?
I'll give it. Well, I know there's a whole conversation, but it would change up. My initial thought was this was same timeline kind of approach, but I don't know if I leaned it was whatever happened situation, and Destiny rewrote itself to outcomes, or things could be affected differently. Since that was my original going with this, that's what I will stick with.
Even if you feel like you might have been swayed?
I don't think I'm swayed. I'm just brought up that timeline is another way to look at it.
All right. I'm going with MCU time travel. I think it is to its benefit that it does not give a set time travel rule in this. So that's where I'm leaving mine.
And yes, I am also MCU time travel with, as far as I'm concerned, every time a portal's open, they're going into a different timeline. It makes the most sense. Otherwise, characters would have to acknowledge that they're being affected within the scope of one timeline regarding this multiverse. They would, younger, middle-aged Anakin would recognize older Anakin, that sort of thing. So I'm in different timelines.
Who's starting talking about was that? Yeah, I don't even remember.
Yeah, I think that was just a broad one. Jump to something small. As terms of a little bit of humor that worked for me. It's classic. The villains like just fighting each other's counterpart. But I guess what I did like about it is that ultimately Vader, after exchanging a few blows with his counterpart self, was like, "Huh, you are me. Get her."
Yeah, I found that amusing, and the acceptance of himself. It's like, well, if he's prioritizing this, it must be pretty important.
Work together. Yeah. I do. I don't know if it's true or not, but my first viewing of that scene, I actually thought it was Return of the Jedi Vader that was left on Hoth.
That would have been interesting. The way he reacted, that isn't what happened, but that would have been interesting.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think it's what happened, but I did find that as a potentially funny little bit. Sprinks, how about you? Got a point?
Yeah, at 11:23, I really did not like that Rey could hear Force Ghost Ben Kenobi talking to Luke.
Yep, that's another one where I don't think that passes in a Lego universe.
Nope, doesn't.
The humor of that is Luke responding, where originally he didn't respond, but responding and Rey saying, "Who are you talking to?"
Yeah, and not for it. breaks
I
the rules
agree.
of the force isn't something that's or like force talking through with the ghost is like directed at a person. It's not just like an AoE.
Yeah.
I will
Crazy.
do another broader topic, I guess, of the key itself. And I'm not a fan of how it operates. We already talked about the portal duration being inconsistent, but I think the placement of the portal is also inconsistent. Where like it's like in the cockpit, like right up to the character, or it can be far away. It can be on top of them, under a table, in the sky where they're falling. It's just random how the portal operates. And my larger issue with it
Thank God
is
it wasn't in the vastness of space where she could die a cold death.
yeah. Uh, but my larger issue with it is it seemingly seemed random in the beginning, or I guess you could say destiny. But then Rey can just control it seemingly by sending everybody back to where they belonged, like Kylo, and that is
And it's
something I
after she
they did
mastered
not
the
establish.
ability.
No, she learned she could make multiple of them turn into a portal. That's all I got out of that scene.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, all I can
Pretty
go, it's Ray. Ray can do anything first time.
Yeah, it's terrible.
uh
Especially since this whole thing
I'll
is like
go to
Ray trying to help Finn and go through like 5 Jedi texts of trying to learn something and can't get it, can't get it. It's just not working. Yet every other example after this of her trying to do something is doing it first try.
Yep, pretty much.
yeah, that's why I said it. We really liked the first 5 minutes because she wasn't a Mary Sue in the first 5 minutes of this. Um I on the whole Lego bit thing, Kylo's helmet being broken in pieces, that Palp just kind of puts back together with the Force. Uh, would have been cool if that was like an actual Lego piece.
Which thing? Sorry.
Kylo's helmet.
Kylo Ren's helmet.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's a
Kind of on
definitely what I
one
say.
of your earlier
That's a
points.
U2 thing.
Yeah. For the helmet in particular being broken, I don't think that needs to be Lego pieces because the helmet itself is one piece. So it's just a broken Lego piece. Meanwhile, the like training droid bot thing is never a Lego piece to have to be reassembled.
Interesting. I see them
Fair
one
enough.
as the same.
Okay, why? I guess with what I said.
Well, either way, they could have been. I mean, even if you want to do Kylo's helmet where it's closer in shots of Lego pieces actually connecting to then make the helmet, which is just a helmet for a minifigure, but the zoomed in shots can still be studs to connect to fix. But it's all one wide shot, so you just see it as like broken pieces being put together.
I don't think that's how Lego like stuff works. Usually they're to scale. You don't see like micro studs. They're all kind of just to scale.
Okay, so your main concern is on the practicality of Lego to screen.
Within its own universe, yes.
Okay.
We don't see like a massive 1 by 1 block as a its own thing, I guess. Like it's all to scale to Lego.
Yes, but even like for detail work to come across as Lego, with my example of like zooming in, you are opposed to that because that's not actually a Lego mechanic in real life for Lego to
Or in the
scale.
movie they don't show that. So if they establish that in the movie as like that's how things work, I would be fine with it. But they don't show that as ever being a thing, so I'm not going to apply that.
Okay, so how come you're okay with the helmet, but you weren't okay with the practice droid?
Okay, for the reason I said, where the helmet is a Lego piece, the droid ball is not, and this comes into the mixture of these Lego movies or specials where it's a mixture of Lego pieces in a real world type deal. Like that mountain is not a Lego mountain, that is a mountain. This the training droid bot is not a Lego. That is other.
we do see pretty much a 360, the whole practice droid into full sphere.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
yes,
So
I'll go with
that's the difference I'm applying it to. Is the helmet is a Lego piece, the ball is not.
And with that, I think I'm convinced.
Great input.
Yeah, I'm happy to. I mean, not really much else to say for that. At least for me. So, I do like I do like the life party stuff, that the secondary story with everyone like in the Falcon trying to prepare for the party. I really enjoyed because in a weird way it's like an exaggeration of what went on in the sequel trilogy, is that the gang is useless without Rey by the time of Rise of Skywalker. So I like that things aren't going well for them, as terms of like them setting out the party, and that's an issue in itself, with at least within the canon trilogy. But here it's played off, and I think in a mostly a comedic way.
Yeah, and actually, I think that would be a good broader topic. Do you think they did a good spacing of Lego comedy with just story?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, pacing wise, yeah, I would say pacing wise they did okay. It wasn't, like I said, I didn't really have a eye subjective with this, but I do think the pacing was okay.
I like the
Springs.
detail of the homage to introducing Chewie's family, which is going off of the original holiday special for Star Wars.
Yes. One of my facts about that is I think they rip one of the audio pieces for one of the Wookiees pretty much directly from that.
Oh, very cool.
That's what I thought was. I was going to ask about that. It seemed like something different.
Yeah, they at least for Chewbacca's wife and his family, or sorry, not wife. But like one of they really pretty much ripped the sounds from the original, which I did appreciate for that scene. Crimson.
Yeah, more on the key, the trend I have. It's the key
one of
to Jedi past, and it's supposed to be like a teaching instrument on how a Jedi can become its full potential, right? And all the places it goes to makes no sense for that premise. The two clones with each other, no Jedi, no training, nothing to learn. The Mandalorian bit, I guess you got Grogu, but there's nothing to learn
got a
from it.
cameo.
The first few places, there's a message to be learned that Rey picks up on. But past that, when they're just speed running everything, there's nothing to be taught. I mean, even on Hoth, when Vader's walking by with the snowtroopers, what's the lesson? There's no apprentice training, and that's kind of a larger issue I have with this film.
I see.
Consistent
So
with itself,
you
with
think
the
the
time
key is
travel, with the
programmed?
key.
Based off the narration Yoda provided on the stone, as limited as it is, I think it does have a direction it goes.
Okay. That is certainly one
By
way to
that,
look at
it sounds like you don't agree with it.
I do not agree. I see it as it is in the helm of the destination decided upon the wielder, and Rey was looking for insight on what she knew, which is why the first beginnings were with apprenticeships to their masters. And then when she just kind of wanted to get back because Darth Vader was being a nuisance to her, it was more panicky, so she was just trying to get through, and that was the key, just going to different destinations where it wasn't fully connected in aspects of the beginning approach to what she wanted to find.
If it is going where the wielder wants, why doesn't it just take her back then? Why do these random jumps?
Because she's
I don't
fighting with
get
Darth Vader, and they're both in possession of it. So I think it's listening to both at a time until she does the thing where it looks like it's going to someone else, and then it goes into Rey's hands.
I mean, I'd almost be okay with that theory if all the places they went to were connected to both of the characters, but they went to places that aren't connected to either of them.
Well, what was Darth Vader's goal?
Get the key.
Okay, and it was to get back to Palpatine with the key, right?
Yep.
Are the destinations that aren't necessarily one-on-one for the apprenticeship to a master in any way closer to getting to Palpatine?
I don't see why they would. The clone troopers on the hover bike, I forget what they call them. I don't really.
Yeah.
I don't see what how's that connected to distance to Palpatine or
I
the
would say
Mandalorian.
Mandalorian, I can take that as the apprenticeship and the master with Grogu and I forget his name. Mandalorian.
Din Djarin.
Din Djarin, thank you. And then the clone troopers, I would say I can go with, I don't know how that's connected because those are Phase 1 troopers. If they were Phase 2 troopers, I can see that more connected to Order 66.
Well, I mean, the easy thing to do is if they want to show off Vader's goal, you can have him pop in around Palpatine while he's Chancellor of the Republic, so he could be doing like Senate things and stuff could be happening in the background behind him that he misses. Like that would be how you would do, like showing that it's going through the motions. Because the clones were wearing Phase 2 trooper armor for I think half the war, which is like 2 years. So it's not, for me, it's not connected to Order 66 directly.
And I guess Ryder, you're the last one here of how you viewed how the key worked.
So I have no reason to not believe Master Yoda when he says that the portal has a key. It acts with a purpose. And given that, I think it's inconsistent with itself. Especially if Vader gets a hold of it and doesn't immediately have a portal to a version of the Emperor, is kind of a problem. Because if it's listening to both of them as they're fighting, then the places would have been more obvious, split between their goals. So I can only guess that Yoda was speaking the truth when the key can only help train the Jedi in a very specific way. And that's why we're visiting all these places. We're visiting places that are around that goal. Though even then, I would still say it's consistent with itself.
Well, that was my point.
Yeah, I think I briefly touched on it, but one of my small points, again, with the portals, because it might be the biggest issue we have with this fucking movie. Why did the portal just stay open in the Emperor's throne room?
Don't know. For plot armor.
Plot-related reasons. Yeah, that's pretty much the only reason it would.
That's it. Yeah, that is entirely the reason. Because that's what the writers wanted to happen. Though it makes no sense with what we've seen beforehand.
Sprig's point.
Let's see here. There's a lot of jokes they go off of. There's the Han shot first joke, the wide shirtless Kylo joke.
I wish they made Kylo a big fig for that joke.
That'd be a little funny.
Yeah, me too. I think the joke would have landed a little bit better.
A subjective hit to me, which shouldn't be surprised because I brought it up multiple times. Kylo is singing the theme song.
Yeah, I knew you were going to bring that up.
Didn't like that at all.
Look, I see
that's
hate
Lego.
It less
That's Lego humor
in a Lego movie.
going too far.
Yeah, I hate it less in a Lego movie. Still don't like it.
Well, I guess that's something that hasn't really been brought up with this type of talk is how does it fare with a comedy spoofing it? Because all the other examples we've had on the podcast so far have been just a standard in-universe thing, like Hagrid or in Creature Commandos, and there was one other one I'm forgetting, but they were like serious to the events. This is comedy parody type level. Same thing, or does it have a different effect?
To me, it personally irks
I
me
don't
too
have
much.
an
It goes too
objective
far.
issue with it. Yeah, I don't have an objective issue with it. I have a subjective issue with it.
Okay. And Springs, I didn't hear you over that. What'd you say?
I'll go the same with writer.
Okay.
It irks me too much to be unexcusable.
I do. Okay, so we kind of touched on the Obi-Wan thing in the very beginning of when she ends up in the Phantom Menace, and he's like, I hate like moderating trade disputes. Adding in that little bit in. Another bit I do like that's a natural dialogue, or not like not directly from the film. It's an original thing. Is the conversation between Obi-Wan and Anakin in the elevator. Very brief, but I actually I felt something that was positive.
Oh yes, that's before
just
fully knowing that she could intervene.
Yeah, that's before fully knowing she could intervene. I do like their dialogue exchange because while they're exaggerating the characters, I do think they're keeping like the tone of the banter, if that makes sense.
The dynamic intact.
Yeah, the dynamic between Obi-Wan and Anakin's intact. The dynamic between Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan's intact, even though the humor is exaggerated them.
And the lesson on that one that was stated was that Jedi must have awareness. Just saying that's when that was stated.
Okay,
Might not come back
foreshadowing.
later.
Yeah, might be foreshadowing for a particular problem that you might want to touch on eventually.
I mean, I can just do it now. It's popcorn. It's when Finn says, "Rey taught me Jedi must be aware," and I'm like, she just learned that through the key with Anakin and Obi-Wan. That didn't come to you. And that this is when Yoda was showing Rey the Poe blocking the tree falling.
I guess I could possibly buy that she did that earlier on. Like that was a lesson she taught without fully understanding. Because Finn is her first student, so
It's something I can buy. She's taught, but I don't know why we had to get a scene spelling it out if it's something she's already taught.
It's a gray area for me.
yeah, that's kind of where I'm leaning with it. Well, I think it's more of a gray area for me on that one. Though it's weird that the film decides to emphasize that, I suppose.
I think it's to lean into Yoda teaching her that she's not a failure with what she's doing. She's just not finding the right answers where she's looking. And that's to explain on to Rey that, yes, Finn is learning things you are teaching him. You're not a complete failure kind of thing. Also onto the audience by going to that to emphasize it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that can be the takeaway with it.
I guess one of my favorite lines of dialogue that occasionally comes up is when my notes I started calling Kylo Ren Kyle Ben because I find that funnier.
Who's Ben?
Yeah. But I love what Kylo Ren's screaming at Luke. He's like, "You ruined my life," and Luke responds, "Kid, I've never seen you before in my life."
No, real Thanos
I don't even know who
Scarlet
you
Witch.
are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even know who you are. But here it's a parody, so you know what? I think it works better.
Yeah, I mean they use it like 2 or 3 times in this.
Yeah, I think that one in particular was the one that worked the most. Crimson.
That's me. So we have the side plot, I guess, of the holiday decor stuff going on and just the event on the Millennium Falcon. And the more and more we spent time on the time travel, the more and more I was like, what is the point of the Millennium Falcon bit? I get it's a holiday special and it's a Star Wars
It's the
holiday in
pacing.
particular, but with so little time and acknowledgement dedicated to it, it just feels unwarranted to me.
Yeah. The For me, the thing with that, right, is those happen to be my favorite bits because I don't feel like it's breaking Star Wars in its own twisted way with the what the other stuff is doing. I get it's Lego, so I can separate everything, but I didn't feel like I was in pain, I guess, watching it. So I feel like I kind of wish there was more of it to make it more relevant, is what I would say about the stuff that's away from what Rey's doing. Like, what is a Wookiee's family dynamic like? How do our characters interact with it? I think that those would be some fun little things to explore with that.
Ray had more, not Ray. Rose Tico had more to do in this than her last movie.
Yay.
Uh, that's true. I didn't outright hate her character in this either.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. Springs, do you have anything you want to add on to that?
I think it's falls onto personal subjective of it. I think it was fine. And Ryder, you say it's some of your favorite parts. Crimson, you're saying you think one of the worst parts. So
It's a pretty wild movie. Springs, take it wherever you want, or
in the Jedi Temple they're in, I don't understand how it's snowing in wide shots from the top, but that snow never hits the ground. Like it's just an atmospheric look.
I suppose I doubt the ground is so hot that the snow melts before hitting the ground because it doesn't show it as rain either.
Yeah.
I doubt that because when she arrives at the temple, there's snow piles all over the ground.
Yeah. So I agree. Just a inconsistency with itself for a visual thing.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree. I think it's an inconsistency with the visual. I was thinking because I think the way to make that work, right, is you could have. I mean, there's nexuses in the Force, so if they really wanted to, they could make it so like the snow does melt because the Force contains heat within this chamber. But again, they don't do that. So
Yeah. Do you think the joke, I guess, towards the knowledge that Poe knows about Jar Jar Binks's Senate speech is too far?
What? How long ago was that?
in relation to where
Well,
Kylo is, I think it's about
how Star Wars
35 to
works,
40
it was a long
years.
time ago, far, far away.
Yeah. So Poe was either a baby or not really born yet. So it'd have to be a
Poe wouldn't be
historical
born yet.
event. It'd have to be
Yeah.
some major
I mean,
historical event, which it kind
I
of
mean,
was. It's a peaceful time
it
thing.
is because when Jabba, when Jar
Okay.
Jar gives a speech to about over the like he's one of the stepping stones for Palpatine to become emperor. Like during one of his speeches, he's arguing the Senate should give emergency powers to the Supreme Chancellor. So I think he would be famous as one of the tools used by the Emperor to in terms of the history within the Star Wars world at some point.
Yeah, so I think it's passable because it's kind of potentially a big historical moment.
I don't know any other speeches he gave, but I know just that one specifically.
How were you think it was too much, Franks? Weren't sure on it.
I thought it was a little. Because it is humorous to bring up, but I feel like the wrong character brought it up. Being C-3PO is there, I feel like C-3PO could have brought it up in a more contextual way.
C-3PO would have I think would be the better choice for character. I'm fine with Poe doing it, but he doesn't really ever come across to me as a history buff in this or in the canon trilogy.
And the sake that it comes out of nowhere. Like as an example to
Yeah.
brought up in conversation, but Poe's the one bringing it up, and there's no previous thing shown in this that would state to it. So kind of falls into not in character for him to say.
something kind of in line with the whole history aspect that I wasn't sure on is how does everybody know about like Anakin slash Vader? Does everyone know Vader's Anakin, or is that still kind of just a kind of a separate thing?
At the point of
So-
the sequel trilogy, yes.
Yeah.
That they're one and the same.
Yeah.
Everyone in the sequel trilogy. So this is where it gets really complicated and why the sequel trilogy writing is bad because they never really flesh this out. And the books that are written for the sequel trilogy are also terribly written. So take this with a grain of salt because it was a struggle to get through Chuck Wendig's books. But one of the reasons Princess Leia is acting as a general away from the Senate is because there was a whole scandal that came out eventually where Darth Vader's identity was revealed. And obviously, her relation to Darth Vader, she ended up resigning from the Senate and eventually, obviously, formed the Resistance in order to fight the First Order. So there's some implications that there's infiltration and they planted that information because they had it in the First Order of who Anakin was. I don't know how they did, and I'm sure because the excuses they took it from Imperial archives, but in 95% of the lore that we have, Darth Vader specifically hunted down and killed people who knew who he was. So it's a fucking mess no matter how you slice it.
Yeah, the reason I brought it up because in my notes when she's like, "It's Obi-Wan and Anakin," I'm like, does she know that? Does she have that information? I don't know.
Kylo's a
So-
big blabbermouth, throwing tantrums and whatnot. So I feel like since he knows his grandfather's Darth Vader, he would just tell everyone, especially this Kylo.
Yeah,
He's got
this version
posters of his
Kylo,
grandfather
yes.
on the wall.
Yeah. I will also think Obi-Wan would be famous in either universe, though. He's known as General Kenobi, the Negotiator. He fought a huge war where he was one of the top Jedi generals, who's responsible for trying to save the Republic, and also, in sneaking aboard the Death Star and getting killed. But I'm fine with her knowing who Obi-Wan is. Obi-Wan does have enough history to him.
So his apprentice Anakin would be the same level of knowledge then.
Yeah,
Obi-Wan
I don't
is
know if
his
the identity
apprentice.
would be clear to her, but I would definitely say that Anakin Skywalker would be known because Anakin Skywalker is just as famous, if not more so, than Obi-Wan during the Clone Wars. That's their rise to prominence. Their names would be known far and wide.
Okay, I guess I'm fine with it. There'd probably be photos of them because just knowing someone's name's not enough. You gotta know what they look like. So
Yeah.
A bit of nonsensical humor that I found very funny is when one of the guests arriving to the holiday party is Max Rebo. I don't know why. I
where's
think
the other six?
the randomness of Max Rebo being there, I just found quite funny.
Yeah, that was pretty great. I thought it was kind of funny that Zori Bliss is there and she got no speaking lines.
Yeah, I don't think they just wanted to give her a voice. Or couldn't find someone to mimic her voice.
Yeah.
I didn't even remember that there was any romance with her and Finn. I didn't remember that
Spice
at all.
Runners.
You mean Poe?
Oh well, doesn't she like kiss Finn in this?
No, she
Is
kisses
it Finn
Poe.
that she kisses?
It was
Yeah,
Poe.
I thought it was Poe.
That was
Man,
Poe
I'm
with the
misremembering that.
mistletoe.
I guess. Anyways, I
Hey.
don't remember the character in the movie, anyways. So
Yeah, it looks like a Power Ranger.
Ugh, that's a bad joke. Don't make it, writer. Come on.
something I found amusing. I'm pretty sure was not the intent. Kind of goes against the message actually. Is when the message of like you got to be friends with your apprentice to help with the training. I immediately was like chuckling in my head of like they just kind of stated that they haven't been friends in 3 movies. I found that pretty amusing because I do feel that way that the relationship between Rey and Finn suck through the sequels.
Absolutely.
So, the friendship with all of them fucking sucks.
Well, yes.
The first adventure they all go on together as a group is in Rise of Skywalker, and it bugged the shit out of me. Like, why is it happening in the last film of the trilogy?
Well, I think
Honestly, it's
Force
still
Awakens
Ryan's
is
fault.
pretty good with
But
Poe and Finn.
yeah, The Force Awakens is good with Rey and Finn too.
Yeah, but Rey and
You know,
Poe
so you know, I get to
little
point
weak.
fingers at my favorite person. Thanks, Ryan.
Finn had so much
Could have developed the friendship more, but you didn't. You just
Could have just
pretended that they
given the
were
whole
friends all
trilogy
along.
to JJ. Could have just given it all to JJ.
It's really all Disney's fault for not having a plan.
Yeah. Well, no, actually, that's the thing, right? JJ actually did develop plans for a sequel, but Ryan threw them out.
Well, because Disney gave it to Ryan.
Yep.
Yeah.
They didn't have really a plan.
I'm not going to dispute that. Yeah. Yeah.
Something I kind of like to just move on of every establishing shot of the Death Star, a little Lego piece falls off of it. I think that was funny.
Yes,
However,
'cause
they
it's the
do it.
unfinished one.
They do it 4 times, and they ruin the striking of 3 hits of comedy. So it's
Is that a
unfortunate
subjective hit?
Yeah. It's unfortunate that they did it a 4th time.
It's more like a guideline than a rule.
Thanks, Barbosa.
I do also enjoy the gag a lot, especially since it's the unfinished Death Star. So seeing like a little piece fall off of it, it's just a little funny bit that I appreciated.
Do you like the joke that Darth Vader wanted to call it Starkiller Base, and then Kylo brings up that he called his Starkiller Base?
I did like that, and I kind of want that to be canon.
I do like that as well, because I mean it's more of just Ben being super obsessive over his grandfather, so he would know his father's naming preferences.
There was a Vader.
It was a humorful bit that got to me.
But how come Starkiller wasn't in this?
He's the most broken character in all of Star Wars.
Yeah.
I'm kind of glad he doesn't ever make
He
appearances.
pulled down a whole Imperial Star Destroyer out of the sky.
How do you guys? Oh, keep going.
Yeah, no, go ahead. I was going to go off topic again, so.
No, well, so was I. But how do you guys feel the fights were in this? Paint by numbers, kind of fun.
Fine. I think the choreography is pretty good.
I think they're fun. They break some traditional Star Wars rules, which is that you can't just randomly grab someone in the Force while you're lightsaber fighting. But it's a Lego movie, so I'm slightly more forgiving of that. I'm not going to hold it to the same standard, because that's just the implication is that you can't grab somebody in the Force while you're lightsaber fighting unless you kind of unless you are getting them to focus their Force abilities on something else. One of the things they cover better in the books is that you can see split seconds into the future, and that's why lightsaber fights can get dragged on, because both sides are doing that. So it's about adding in like multiple stressors to try and get around that, or just wearing your opponent down. So they did break that cardinal rule, which I didn't like, but again, I'm not going to hold this to the same standard as live action. I think they're gimmicky, and I think they're fun, typically speaking.
Yeah, I wouldn't complain about any of the fights in this.
It's better than the Last Jedi Red Guard fight.
Yeah, not
Man,
hard.
how many millions did they put into that? Man,
Not enough. I will go to again. Palpatine really, really exaggerated his character. I do think he goes over the top of it. I kind of find it funny that he gets a Grinch moment at the very end before he dies, where he's like, his heart grows. He's like, I'm never going to be evil, and then he blows up. But
Yeah.
I had that kind of made me smirk.
Yeah.
How are we looking on notes, gentlemen?
I'm getting very thin.
Crimson?
I'd have to look over everything, but I think I have a couple left.
All right, we can do potentially 2 more each. I'll go with you, Springs.
Okay, I think it's the only use of fourth wall break in this entire thing, but Kylo's helmet does pivot to make it look like he's looking directly on the camera when he says no one comes back from being thrown down in a reactor.
That was funny. That
Yeah.
was the slight acknowledgement of you somehow returned, I guess.
Yeah. But I do
And-
think it is fourth wall breaking.
Yeah, I'd say it's borderline. Since it's a helmet, it's kind of hard to tell. But I'm fine if it is a fourth wall break, to be fair.
On the note of like funny images to show Rey of master and apprentices being friends, I find it funny they chose to show Episode 3 Obi-Wan and Anakin.
They had the most friction.
Yeah. Crimson.
All right. So in our Discord, I posted a React timestamp of me getting irritated. And this is the moment when Rey just yoinked the key from Vader while on the lava
Hoth?
planet. I always forget the name
Mustafar.
of
Oh,
it.
Mustafar.
Yeah, on Mustafar. That irritated me so much. It's just flat out saying she's better than Vader. The earlier stuff, they were like tug of warring it. This, she just yoink. No issues whatsoever.
Well, his guard was down. They were coming to a waterfall.
Yeah, because Vader's never on guard. So that bugged
I
me.
think Vader could be having a lot of memory berries right now. He's like, wait, oh fuck, why am I here?
That'd be a funny joke if he was like holding his arms or something, like coddling himself, like, oh, I don't want to lose more. I don't know. But that irritated me a lot. And it's persistent throughout that Rey's just better than Vader in this.
Rey's the best there ever was.
Rey's
and
better
she-
than any and everyone. That's what
Yeah,
she's written
it's
as.
horrible. I mean,
Yeah,
even
in a
Kylo
weird way,
acknowledges it, like, oh, I should have seen that coming when she took the key past him to open the
Yeah.
portal. Yeah,
Uh,
so
bit
that
of a
hated.
again slightly bittersweet moment that I wish I could take seriously is when she says her last goodbye to Ben, because obviously she grew to love him in Rise of Skywalker. So that's a moment I wish I could like. I wish mattered.
Yeah. I don't know. Do you think they were limited with the time allotted, or do you think they did all right? Because it is like a TV special, they are
I
limited.
think they had a deadline.
Yeah, I think they had a deadline, and I think they have returned with time in London. Because I mean, you could have made this a full hour and a half movie, and you could have told a worthwhile story. To be honest with you, I mean, it's a Star Wars Life Day special. All the Life Day stuff is kind of a joke. It'd be nice to get something like that treats Life Day seriously. Get a proper Life Day movie going for Star Wars would be nice.
Maybe if it wasn't Lego.
Hey,
For a
we've
Life
seen
Day
the Lego movie. The Lego movie's great. So we can take a Lego movie seriously. It's just
But that's done by
they-
a different production company. That's
that's
through Warner
very
Brothers.
true. But like I said, that's still no excuse. We could treat this style seriously if they treated it seriously.
Yeah. So, yeah, I guess since I posed that question, I think it did feel limited because the runtime, the whole time travel stuff at the end felt very rushed, and the half baked like Christmas Carol nod that Yoda took her on.
Yeah, Yoda Dickens
Pretty
was
half-baked.
interesting.
Mhm.
Which did give me the thought that the Ghost Yoda taking Rey to show her things through time was like a Ghost of Christmas Past kind of thing. To go, I guess, with the narration of the book with Yoda to begin and then the ending. And I hoped, even going in, I hoped that was the whole premise of this. Of like Rey seeing things in the past that she can't alter or interact with, but learn from. And it kind of is a little bit of spin in the face when you have this whole time travel key thing to then show that this is also present in this film.
Yeah, that actually that would have been the premise I wanted to give her a sort of Christmas Carol story, trying to teach her something. Not necessarily, Christmas Carol, but you could have ghosts show up and help out with things.
Yeah, since it's the end of Rise of Skywalker, she can hear all the Jedi Masters in her head if they're all one by one, like, showed her a different thing in their point in time.
Yeah.
I mean, that would have been a cool premise for this key, anyways, is just to allow her to isolate the voices in her head and learn from them.
Yeah, but David Shane said no.
Yeah, you know what you could have done? You could have done. Do you remember? Have you guys seen Avatar: Last Airbender? Right?
No.
Very, very small amount.
Okay.
Unless you mean unless you mean the M Night movie, which I also haven't seen.
No, I mean the anime show. So I guess my example wouldn't work.
What?
Oh well.
So, yeah, I would prefer if they didn't try to double dip with the Stone storyline and then a slight nod to Christmas Carol. I would prefer it if they picked one over the other.
Yeah, stick to the Christmas Carol one.
Yeah, the Christmas Carol one would have been a far more interesting premise. And I think, again, even just because it's not the cool, like, flashy shit that's going on, I do think they could have expanded on the stuff going on in the Falcon, trying to show what, like, how they do celebrate a holiday in Star Wars. Like, it would have been nice to get that fleshed out, get some proper family character interactions. Would have been nice.
Hey, they could always make a new one.
God, no. Maybe maybe if they put it in the right hands, I'll say that I would watch another one of these. I think if it was in the right hands. Sprinks.
Very, very thin on notes, but
If you got one,
I
shoot it
don't.
out.
Just Yoda explaining to Rey what to do, and when she goes into the Jedi Temple, there is the one key that even it's covered by snow that she finds and, like, I guess feels in the Force, like that's the key. But that one key doesn't matter, even though it's, like, distinctly different by wrapped in, like, some bandages or some kind of wrapping on it to make it really stand out. That any single rock just on the wall in this Jedi Temple can be used for the same effect. Unless it's that one can be on its own with the power, and the other ones have, like, a minimal amount of power to them. That's why she has to use them all.
Yeah, that was going to be my point to add to that. Is that might be the difference? Is that's the strong stone. The rest are middling, so you have to use them all. Because her portal doesn't seem like a super portal. Like, it doesn't do anything special. It's kind of just like the other one.
It's just a one-way portal too, obviously, so she can't really bring the stones with her through it.
No, that would be damaging. Certainly, if, like, a Life Day gift she gave everyone for, like, interfering with what they had on was giving them one of these stones.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I thought they were going to turn those into the lightsaber crystals, the kyber crystals, because I don't know what the time stones are. They look like kyber crystals. So if she did gift them all, I guess because it's been retconned now that everybody is capable of using the Force. God help the fucking writers.
What is this, Kingdom Hearts?
Yeah, right. Yeah, I assume Kingdom Hearts treats that premise better.
Kingdom Hearts does roughly the same thing. There can only be one Keyblade wielder, and then it's like, oh, anyone can wield a Keyblade.
Yeah, I assume it handles the premise better than Star Wars does, though.
It's explained a little more, maybe.
Maybe. Yeah, no, I would say that if that's true, that they could have all been gifts in the form was like, oh, she's getting everybody their own lightsaber. Now, I guess from my last point, it's funny. I don't know why Rey would trust Finn to cut the turkey leg. I forgot its name. It's called Tip Yip. And I don't know why he does it with his eyes closed. He was swinging it around like a live lightsaber.
The eyes closed. The only thing I can think of is, like, her when they were practicing with the training. She put the helmet over him to stop distractions, which is essentially eyes closed. So I think maybe that was to that, because that's what he practiced, and the trust in him now that she's like learned her lesson of like what to do to put faith into Finn, I think is okay. And then I guess the mishap is just the sprinkle of Lego humor over it.
I guess that works. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of my angle for it.
Yeah, I think that works better. I'm okay with that. Let's see. I think I'm out. I'm gonna review my notes real quick.
All right. Well, I'll talk more about the key, my favorite
Yeah,
thing that
keep
we'll
going.
talk
Yeah.
about.
Biggest problem in the film.
Wow, I wonder
It
what
doesn't
kind of
even-
prop you're going to pitch at the end.
It doesn't even need a force user to use. It spins on the floor and it opens a portal. So she really could just give these stones away if she really wanted to.
The intent of the wielder.
The floor. Where did the floor want to go? Because the floor opened a portal.
Yeah,
Elevator's not worthy.
Yeah.
good point.
So yeah, there's more stupid key stuff.
Unless it was the Force.
Oh.
I mean, like,
Not
I
the
don't
Force as an
really
entity,
guess
but the
it's
Force of
that.
like moving it on the floor.
There is a time where I know Rey is pointing at the key with her hand while it's on the floor, and it does open a portal because she's using the Force on it. But I don't know if that's the scene you're talking about.
No, it's the one in the cave.
I'm just saying, could be the Force.
Could be. I'd have to re-see if she's like reaching out to it or something. Are you saying general force or just the universe is moving it?
No, like someone's ability to use the Force is what's moving it.
Okay.
They don't have to have it in their hand to wield.
And I guess while writer's still going, the line that Rey says to Luke of, "Remember your first lesson." I'm like, you didn't see his first lesson. His first lesson would be with Ben Kenobi, not with Yoda.
Isn't
So
the
the
Jedi?
fact that
Oh, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yes.
so Luke wouldn't have assumed first lesson with Yoda. He would have assumed Ben.
What was his first
Oh.
lesson with Ben? The
I
lightsaber
don't remember
training?
well enough, but he was getting trained. I'm sure he learned something from Ben.
Yeah, he was learning to
Stay.
Learn to stand
learned to
still
stand
and let
in-
Darth Vader take you.
Yeah.
He was learning to stay in the moment. So I mean, he does learn from Ben in the A New Hope. He does, like I said, I kind of talked about it. He does learn the Jedi blocking blaster bolt thing.
Well, he learns you can control a weak mind or whatever. I mean, that's
Oh, the Jedi mind trick.
Yeah.
He doesn't really
so-
perform it in that movie, but yeah, he does. I guess he does see it in action.
Yeah, learns that as an ability that one can achieve. So,
So,
that's many
I
examples. I agree.
I would just prefer a quick, easy fix of remember the first lesson Yoda taught you. Easy, boom.
Yeah, would have been
There we go.
would have been nicer, for sure.
Also, she arrived in the middle of training. That could have also been like the fifth lesson Yoda taught him.
Yeah. Run, 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 jump. I can be a backpack while you run.
Classic.
I do. I find there's a bit of sense of humor that kind of Darth Vader gets replaced by Kylo Ren because the Emperor learns what he's going to do eventually, and that ends up cementing what the reality of is going to be is that he's gonna get thrown down the reactor shaft anyway.
Yeah. Knowing your own future.
Yeah.
Avoiding one
So there
step
again-
often brings you to relive it or something. I forgot
Which
what the expression was.
Could express a little more into the time travel aspect of whatever happened, and history will write itself to be course corrected. Because Palpatine knew that was said to be his demise, and it still occurred, even though he was going about different ways to avoid it.
Yeah, it could be. Characters would still remember each other though if this was all in the same timeline.
Yes. I'm just saying that's a decent example to lean more so that's the aspect of time travel they're kind of explaining, possibly. And then there's time travel.
I got
Tenet.
the
which
Yeah.
is
I got the Kung Fu Panda quote that you were saying, Crimson. So thumbs up.
Oh,
I know what you were trying to say.
yeah.
Springs, if you got any more left.
oh boy. Do I? Not really. Other than I guess the last one I have is that Luke was able to watch Ghost Yoda show Rey all these events were going on, and the one detail that aids that for me is when he shows her the first like image and it goes back to show the two of them for Yoda to change like the next thing to show, and the background of them fades back to the cave to then the new image, so they're in the cave the entire time rather than traversing her actually through time to show her these memories.
yeah,
It's
Yoda's
actually
just
like a
yeah, okay.
visual in the cave in the Jedi Temple itself. So
Yeah.
a small detail that like helps that.
Yeah. I think my last detail that I'll go over that I liked is as funny as blue milk drinking Luke is, it's like a farmer's private property. Um, I actually quite like that he's still a good person. So he doesn't know what Rey's problem is, doesn't know everything that's going on. He still sits down and fixes BB-8 for her, which I think is a very, very core aspect to what Luke's character is like.
That's a Luke thing. Yeah.
It's a very Luke thing, and it was one of those little small nuggets that I really enjoyed.
Yeah. Certainly not a Jake thing
Yeah.
or whatever he's
Fuck
jokingly called.
you, Ryan. All right. Crimson, last one.
So the
Have any.
uh, did Rey learn a lesson past the like going anything involving Vader, pretty much the whole fight sequence and the Emperor throne room? Did she learn anything from that?
Yeah, you can't beat him.
Okay. The reason I ask this is because it brings up the issue I always have had with Force Ghosts, and that's they suck. Why didn't Yoda pop up before the journey to the Vader Emperor thing for this to even happen? He's like, Rey, don't go through this one. Let me tell you the lesson I'll tell you in a later moment of the film.
It takes a long time for Force Ghost to manifest. And then Ryan decided that Force Ghost can directly affect the real world because he's a fucking idiot director and writer. But that's a little bit different from this. I'm more okay with it because it takes a while for Force Ghost to manifest in a proper way. Like Dagobah is strong in the Force. That's why Obi-Wan could eventually manifest there, but it doesn't show up immediately. He only shows up as a voice at first, and then he eventually can manifest as a ghost completely.
I'm like, what's so powerful about Endor?
We're talking Yoda here.
Yeah,
Yeah, Endor.
and they're in a temple, so I think he eventually could manifest there. But I don't know
Yes.
the
Jedi Temple does
I don't
help,
know
but
the lore of this place, and I'm not willing to do a deep dive on the Lego Star Wars lore bit for
I'm
this temple.
just going with that example. I don't know what's so special about Endor then. Because there's 3 Force Ghosts there.
Yeah, I agree that's a I know why it's there. There's not really a good canon explanation for that being there, other than that the Death Star died and it's now a convergence in the Force, which I can sort of buy, but I need more. I want more source material for that.
So my point still stands is applying the ghosts being a thing, I think could avert the whole movie. Because her lesson by the end of the friend's value is just told by Yoda. It's not even something she learned on the adventure, really. It's just something he's like,
No,
look,
but I think it was
but
something
that was
where
from her earlier travels before the
In
Vader.
a better version of this movie, that could be something that they highlight in. Like they could focus in on like them being friends, and then maybe Obi-Wan failing to teach them the Anakin. Same with Qui-Gon, and then we can see Qui-Gon failing to teach Obi-Wan, and she's hyper focusing on the failures that she's seeing, not the friendship parts of it. And that could be something that would have manifested and needed to be pointed out to her, but they didn't really do that.
And Sprinks, you were adding something there.
mm, No, I'm just thinking in my head. I think it was just like her deciding to go because her texts weren't teaching her anything to go have this idea to what she thought, and that was leading her until she realized that also failed, and I think that's what caused Force Ghost Yoda to appear to then give her the right understanding of how to go about it. Because she tried, which kept, I guess, the faith or strength up until, the whole McClunky malarkey occurred um, to get to that point. And I do think the strength of the Jedi Temple is what aided in Ghost Yoda appearing.
So her hitting a low point is what summoned Yoda, not Yoda of like his own volition.
Yes.
Sort of buy that. Yeah, it's muddled. There's not enough for me to grapple on with how Force Ghosts work in the Lego universe to verify if that's a thing. Because I mean, strong emotions are detectable in the Force, and I think that could attract Force Ghosts. That's something that's happened in the lore before, but I'm not sure that Lego Star Wars is established enough to do that.
So, speculation.
Speculation.
Oh yeah, I mean this movie doesn't really set rules for ghosts, and the movies don't really either. I'm guessing Ryder's getting most of his info from the outside source. I don't think they really
Yep.
addressed how the ghosts work in the movies.
The ghosts were consistent in the movies until Ryan.
Um, all right, and then the final question I was going to hold as a general thing at the end was, how did you guys enjoy them going back in time to the other films and stuff?
Up until the Dagobah creature interacted with BB-8.
So not really.
Yeah,
The moment she's not an observer.
Yep.
yeah. The moment she stops being an observer, I take issue with it as well. I think it would have been. I think there's a cool romp with that. I, I mean, I take issue with this the same way I take issues with the end game time travel. So this is way more crazy, but
I'm more
ultimately it's the same
referring
problem. And
more
this one's
referring to the surface level stuff of seeing these things, not necessarily how they
Oh,
interact in the movie. Like, oh, it's cool to see pod racing again, stuff like that. Like just the
in that
surface level.
regards, yeah.
um
It's cool to see everything from Star Wars somehow incorporated without them all just being present at the same time, because that is just like a really whatever, just like,
it,
just having Darth Vader walk up to some character.
yeah, if I was drunk, yeah, I'd probably enjoy it. I think I'm too detached from Rey as a character to find enjoyment of revisiting all these locations. It would be like, this is an absurd example. Um who's a good example for this? It would be like following Elena uh on the romp that everyone goes on in Endgame.
Yeah.
Only, much worse. So that's kind of how I feel about this, is I don't really like the character that's we're following around. And that, again, that's largely due to my experience with the character. I liked the first 5 minutes with her in this film, but the problem is they get rid of that immediately. So if they
Yeah.
kept that, I probably would have enjoyed Rey almost as much as I did in The Force Awakens, at least the first half of that film. Um, so that being said, I think I can see myself enjoying the fun romp through Star Wars if I were drinking alcohol or doing some form of intoxication to distract myself, I guess. Because I think on the surface levels I would have fun. I'm too engaged with, I guess, the current Star Wars medium to properly enjoy it.
I guess for me, I enjoy the novelty of it. I part of this is kind of like what I want What If to be for Marvel, of like Vader versus Vader or Vader versus Rey or
Well, don't they have? I think they have that.
uh,
Not of Marvel, but they have that of this. I think
oh, I'm sure they
there's a
do,
whole what
but
if of like
just,
all the good guys are bad guys and bad guys are good guys.
I don't think they do.
I thought they did.
well,
It was like
maybe.
a fully white Darth Vader and Darth Jar Jar Binks.
I'm not knowledgeable enough, but that's kind of the aspect of this I did enjoy is seeing these scenarios of Kylo Ren versus Luke Skywalker. They didn't really hyper focus on that versus, but just conceptually, it's kind of fun to think about.
Yeah.
So I guess that is it for me.
All right. I guess with that, we'll go to summaries and ratings. Starting with Crimson, since you wrapped
Okay,
this out here.
so we'll start with my objective. I think the world building is dog dinner. It is trash. Nothing really works revolving around how the key operates. The way I'm going with is the MCU time travel. That is the lens I'm looking through. I think where the portals spawn are inconsistent. How long they spawn is inconsistent. I am going in with the expectation of what Yoda is saying that the key kind of has a particular direction and it's not devoted to the user's uh, intent. So with that lens, I don't think it's consistent. If it was on the angle of it's based on user's intent, I don't think that's consistent either, because of the examples provided during our debate. I think visually, it's kind of a standard Lego animation. The non-Lego stuff, the world, like the mountain, the dirt, it's not amazing. It's like bog standard made for TV animation stuff. You see that in like the Kung Fu Panda show and stuff like that. Um, I would have liked to actually see more Lego in the Lego movie or in this film. The a lot of the Millennium Falcon stuff is just non-Lego, so it would have been nice to see a bit more integration, but not required. That's more of a subjective thing. I only caught one animation error being Ray's leg, and the choice of the Lego legs being blocks and not Lego legs is fine. That's just what they're establishing in this Lego universe. It's not a one-to-one reproduction of Legos, but I don't think I can hold that objectively against it.
As long as it doesn't come up in any other Lego Star Wars project.
If it's tied in the same universe, yeah. If it's the same universe, then yeah, I would have to apply it as like, oh, they're inconsistent. The characters in this, I think, are mostly consistent with themselves in this, even as their exaggerated forms. The damage I do see getting flung is Yoda not being able to sense Rey, and Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan not being able to sense her under the table. It does not establish that she has a masking ability, so I'm not going to apply that. Uh, let's see what other stuff. The ghost talk we just had. I I hold that to the all of Star Wars. It's not just in this issue, but it does come through here, so I'm going to apply it. I think the pacing of the jokes to the plot is is good enough. I don't think they one section's like, all right, why do they need 5 minutes of joke, 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 joke? I don't think that ever really happens. I think it's well spread out enough. So with all that, I'm going to give it an objective 4.5. A lot of the weight being carried is it looks okay. Characters are themselves, but the biggest hit is the world building. Uh, big massive hit. Subjectively, I found enjoyment in this. Nothing made me laugh out loud, but movies rarely do make me laugh out loud. Uh, and it was decently spread throughout. It wasn't like one or two. I had decent mental laughs through the whole film. Uh, I I did enjoy this more than at least the last two sequel films. Last Jedi and Skywalker. I don't remember Force Awakens well enough to say that definitively, but I probably enjoy this more because I've only seen Force Awakens once. So I have this at a 5.5. Totally fine seeing again, and that's where I'm at.
Fair enough. Sprinks, you want to go next?
Sure. I'll start with my subjective, because I'm sure that one will raise fewer eyebrows. Subjectively, this movie, I guess, until that Dagobah interaction thing, I put it like a 7.5 kind of thing. Like, Star Wars, it's holiday, it's those two things I like prior and whatnot. But then all the time travel started happening, and then space-time continuum questions, and then not defining time travel, and memory changing of characters with situation being brought up, and then a lot of Lego humor to excuse a lot of things to pass by, but it's also things are still moving for the plot situation of what's occurring throughout the movie. And my score just kept getting lower and lower and lower, and I was looking for some redemption. And then even when it got to the point where it's like, oh no, we can show past things where you don't interact with, it's so after the fact that it does feel a little cruel to show that it's feasible and even thought of to be included. So subjectively, I have this at a 3.5. Objectively, however, I think one of the highest things I can give this is that it has the feeling of being on Christmas Day and getting a Star Wars Lego set of any like trilogy situation, like any timeline or somewhere on the timeline, and maybe your sibling or cousin or someone else within your age also gets a Lego set that's different, like not the same one in a different kind of era, and then you play them together. This whole movie has that feel. Like, oh, your set has sequel characters and my set has prequel characters, but we can play them together kind of thing, and it comes across that way. Or, oh, your set also has a Darth Vader. We have two Darth Vaders. Oh, let's battle them each other. That happens. Like, that whole feel feels very to a child or to a youngling is more appropriate. To a youngling getting Lego sets, that seems more fitting and comes across on screen. And I think that aspect of it is probably the biggest, strongest thing that's going on. I think the animation of the Lego characters looks really darn good, especially with the texture on them, and the faces for the textured models of the Legos don't feel like they're floating off the face. They actually feel like they're attached to them. And I really do like the look of that. Everything else of the Lego look that's not Lego Crimson Touchstone, I think looks just very mediocre, bland. I don't think it's absolutely ugly or outplaced look, but it's definitely not to the extent of everything else. I think the voiceover work is pretty darn good. I think Luke is the only one that's questionable that doesn't exactly sound like Mark Hamill Luke. But everyone else I think is a good close distinction, and then some of them are actually the actual characters. C-3PO is actually Anthony Daniels. Lando Calrissian is actually Billy D. Williams. So they actually have straight from the media characters of the franchise to it. Let's see. The lighting I think is actually really good too. The lightsaber lighting glow on all the clothing effects of everything around them to the environment look very good. Opposed to every other lighting in situations like Hoth is very bright, and that really comes across. And the Death Star is very dark, and everything is darker tones to everyone's looks. The portal looks good with its lighting and whatnot of that. So the choreography I think is actually pretty good. It's not just like a 3-hit jump over the lightsaber, 3-hit again, or being pushed back and forth. It happens one time with the two Darth Vaders, but it's not like lightsabers touching and they're pushing each other across the room or anything like that kind of fighting. Like there's actual dodging, hitting, lightsaber tricks, going over things. So I actually really appreciated that for the fights that they do have. It did feel very kind of fanficky with all the characters interacting with all the characters. The biggest objective hit, though, is definitely just the whole writing of the situation. To explain how to Rey's goal of what she's trying to achieve here with Finn and the celebration of the family, everything, when she knows it's Life Day because Poe's interaction to start with, and she's there when that happens. and she doesn't piece two and two together, which is a little dumbing of Rey, which is worse because Rey, as explained in this, can just solve anything whenever she wants to solve, except the one thing that she can't solve and needs help for. So that whole thing, and then the whole time travel, as I brought up, I kind of like it. McClunky, malarkey is just a clusterfuck look kind of thing of unexplainable mishap. Tried to go about it with what time travel they're trying to go with an approach. I'm leaning that it is whatever happened situation, but it's still not cemented. And that's the biggest like knockdown for me objectively of all this. However, all of that being said, and of course I always miss something like cinematography. Oh, I guess cinematography is very fine. It's animated. It's hard for me to tell. Music is great because it's Star Wars, so you got John Williams in there. And the transitions are very Star Wars feeling, all the slide wipes. So all that, I have it at a 7.5.
All right. That leaves me. I'll do my subjective first, since that's the ones I've been really hitting at mostly through my coverage. Yeah, it's not like the worst thing in the world for me, but I didn't have much enjoyment with this directly. My enjoyment of this film was making like, you know what, I want to play Lego Star Wars again. I wish I had my Lego sets that weren't stolen. That's kind of what the feeling the film gave me. Because I wasn't really enjoying the content. And I think for me, it's just I have a hard time separating my nostalgia and my emotional attachment to the original trilogy and the quote unquote canon universe, and how my hatred for my personal dislike of the sequels does bleed over here because this is surrounding these characters. The only other character that I add onto your list, Crimson, that I don't think did a good job is like mimicking the character. I don't think Poe's character or voice actor did a good job mimicking the sound of Poe. And Palps is a little off, but I think Palps is more acceptable. And so I'm at a 3, I think, subjectively. I didn't really enjoy this. I'm not gonna go out of my way to watch it again. But I do want to play Lego Star Wars again, so that, you know, it's not, and it's not like, and again, it's not the worst thing in the world. I've definitely felt worse at the end of certain films. But yeah, I didn't really enjoy myself during this. Objectively, not to repeat everything Crimson said, world building is awful. Easily the worst thing about this. I think the comedy is mostly okay for the Lego thing. I think there are a couple exaggerations where people are different characters from what they are. The first one being, I think Palps is a little too exaggerated. It's not terrible, but it's still an exaggerated change to his character to facilitate what's going on. So it's not out of character with the Star Wars universe, but it's most Lego humor for me is they're still within character, but they take those exaggerations to accent it. Whereas I feel like Palps is a completely different character here. And again, so there's that. I think the Darth Vader's changed to be a little bit more dour. So he's nowhere near as menacing. He's a little more fun, which is, you know, more fitting for a Lego movie. I think everyone in the sequel trilogy gang, I think everyone's fine, from Finn, Poe, and Rose, and Rey. I guess it's out of character that Rey was failing at something in the first 5 minutes of the film, but that was one of the better parts. But I think the characters are all mostly okay, and that's kind of what's going to hold the rating up for me. And I think the plot, unfortunately, it's directly tied to the world building. The mess of the world building kind of gets hurled into the plot. I think the concept behind the plot is good. Teaching Rey a lesson about the importance of friendship within the master and apprentice dynamic is very heartwarming message to want to tell. The problem is, I think the message gets muddled with its delivery. I think it gets muddled within how the world building treats it. Rey doesn't really see those friendships developing at any point when she's traveling because it's just, fun romp. And I do think that's probably one of the larger detriments of the film. It makes the Millennium Falcon bits, as much as I personally like them, they feel super superfluous to everything else going on. So it'd be nice to make that more worthwhile to have in the plot, because otherwise I think most of that's unfortunately probably removable in terms of plot, even though it serves a pacing purpose. And I guess with that, I'm also out of 4, I think. Yeah, I'm at an objective 4.
All right. I've thought through my ratio of my ratings. I'm bumping mine up to a 5.
Your
I
objective?
think, yeah, my objective, raising it up to a 5.
Okie dokie.
Yeah. Or no, this one's still fresh in my mind too, so I might change mine come recap, we'll see. But 4 is kind of where I'm settled at right now. Then again, I don't factor really, I don't really factor animation much into what I do unless it's like extremely special. Doesn't really factor into my writing scale, so.
World building, plot, characters.
Yep. All right. Well, gentlemen, if there's nothing else, shall I read us out?
Yeah.
Yeah, this was a very interesting pick.
Yeah. I'll say. I feel like I hurt myself the most with this one unintentionally.
You're the biggest Star Wars fan out of the three of us.
That is very true. Well, audience, thank you for listening, whether it be Spotify, Amazon, Castbox, Good Pods, iHeartRadio, Pocket Cast, and Samsung. And if it be our visual side of things, be it YouTube, Rumble, thank you for watching and listening there. Please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe everywhere. Tell us how much you hate our opinions or how much you love them. And as always, I've been a Geeky Rider.
I'm Crimson Maroon.
And I'm Springs.
And we wish you a happy holidays. Later, everybody.
Bye.
Toodaloo!